Time FBI agents here in Atlanta say they just seized enough to kill millions of people. Atlanta News First, Bridget Spencer is live from the FBI Atlanta field office. And Bridget, that wasn't the only thing they found.
We believe that Diaz's connection to California is significant because we know, as mentioned earlier, the Mexican cartels smuggle people into our country over the southwest border.
Ever heard of someone getting scooped up with enough product to shut down a whole operation, staring at decades behind bars, then suddenly stepping back into daylight like nothing even happened? Because that's exactly the wild situation surrounding Future's older brother, FBG Casino. One moment, federal agents are storming in hard, hauling out 21 kilos of material that authorities say could have flooded entire neighborhoods, nearly $380,000 stacked in cash, and even a Glock thrown into the mix for extra pressure. This wasn't some small-time situation. This was serious heat. Then just like that, the story flips. Instead of orange jumpsuits and court dates, he's back on social media, laid up on his couch, sipping something cold, acting like the whole thing was a glitch in the system. And what about Future, the same artist who turns every family issue into chart-topping music? Suddenly, there's silence. No bars, no captions, no clever lines to explain this one. Funny how that works. Now, sure, people will say it's elite lawyers doing magic behind closed doors. But let's be real, the streets and the internet are already asking the same thing out loud. What gets traded when charges that heavy just vanish? Because in real life, federal cases don't evaporate without a serious reason, and everyone knows that.
See, with Casino, he did try the rap thing, and it did do okay in the beginning, but, being lazy, not really caring about being a rapper, never wanted to be a rapper. He just seen the opportunity, like, I could just jump on these tracks, and I'm hard. It's going to go because Future and Scooter, yeah, pretty lazy. He ain't like this right here. That's why Future distanced himself. The money that Future get him, yeah, just flip it.
This wasn't some sloppy bust or rushed move. This was a full federal raid done with surgical precision. The kind that looks straight out of a high-budget crime movie. Every step planned, every second time. November 14th, 2025, Forest Park, Georgia. FBI, DEA, and local law enforcement all roll up together, lights off, doors flying. They hit an Airbnb rental dead center, and right as chaos breaks loose, Casino makes a run for a side exit with about $4,000 stuffed in his pocket. Inside that spot was everything investigators dream of finding. 21 kilos of a substance authorities say was so strong it posed a serious public safety risk. Cash stacked so heavy it had to be counted in different rooms just to keep track of it all. Then there's the hardware, a Glock 19 ready to go, a money counter humming, a food sealer used to prep product clean and fast. This wasn't street-level hustle energy. This was a structured operation moving with purpose. Even the packaging stood out. Bricks stamped with a luxury fashion logo like branding mattered as much as the money. The message from the feds was clear at the time. They weren't just grabbing one guy, they were shutting down a whole supply line. But fast forward a few weeks, and the same man is back home, sipping coffee, checking his ankle monitor, while the internet circles one question. What did he give up to walk free like that?
Casino up. He fucked up, man. This was the wrong shit to get caught up in. And this right here, get you an L. 21 keys? That's enough to knock down at least 10 million people.
The contradictions start falling apart the moment you look at the numbers. Casino reportedly claimed he was making just $2,166 a month working as a studio manager, which doesn't even come close to explaining a $4 million home, a lineup of luxury cars, or the flashy lifestyle he constantly showed off online. That math just doesn't add up in any normal world. Prosecutors didn't rely on guesses either. They went straight to his own social media and flipped it against him. A designer bag packed with $80,000 was matched directly to photos he posted months earlier. Same bag, same setup, same flex. This wasn't a misunderstanding or sloppy paperwork. This was someone moving like he believed he was untouchable, posting everything in plain sight until the pressure finally closed in. Then comes the part that makes everyone pause. A federal case with potential lifetime consequences, yet he's granted a $100,000 bond. That's not common, not even close. Cases like that usually come with iron doors and no daylight, not release papers and home confinement. His legal team keeps saying everything is clean and handled by the book, but the streets aren't convinced, and honestly, the government wasn't either. Prosecutors fought hard to keep him locked up, labeling him a serious flight risk with every reason to run. Yet somehow, the walls opened just as fast as they closed, and that's why people keep asking questions.
A lot of people were saying, because his brother got released real quick.
Yeah, that was suspicious. And listen, I don't give a what nobody's saying, bro. You get caught in the house. Don't forget, he was in the house. He wasn't outside the house barbecuing in the backyard, cooking no pork chops, no deep fry. He was in the house, and they hit the house, he ran out there.
Then there's the silence from Future, and that part is loud. When your own brother is staring down a possible life sentence, most people expect anything. A post, a quick line, some kind of acknowledgement. But there's been nothing at all, and that quiet has people talking heavy. Behind the scenes, insiders say the Freebandz camp is moving carefully, locked into damage control mode and watching every move. But this situation goes way past public image or PR spin. This is about survival. Federal agents didn't label this raid lightly. They tied it to Operation Take Back America, a massive multi-agency crackdown aimed at larger networks operating across borders. That means this wasn't a one-off arrest. That means more names are already written down, more targets are lined up, and more indictments could drop without warning. If Casino's release signals anything, it raises one serious question. Is someone cooperating? And if so, who's being named? That's why going back to the raid matters. Forest Park isn't some hidden backroad spot. It's less than 15 minutes from downtown Atlanta, a prime location for moving product fast. The property wasn't even owned. It was an Airbnb. No long-term ties, no paper trail, easy to walk away from. Agents didn't just stumble into this either. Surveillance had already been done. Informants were likely in play. By the time that door came down, they already knew about the cash in boxes. The designer bag holding $80,000, the Glock, the money counter, and the food sealer. They even knew about the co-defendant, 23-year-old David Esteban Montediaz, allegedly caught mid-transaction. That age gap alone tells you this wasn't small time. This was a bridge between generations, linking street moves to something much bigger.
Well, why Future don't just hand $1 million? Some ain't taking no $1 million from their partner, and they done seen him sweat like this here for it. Blood, sweat, and tears, travel every day. It just be y'all just looking for daddies that be ready to get up under, spend all the money he don't work for.
The arrest itself followed the playbook, clean and controlled. Agents moved in, Casino spotted the pressure, and he tried to make a break for it. They caught him outside with $4,000 still in his pocket, while everything else stayed behind inside the rental. That alone tells you how fast it all went down. But here's the part that really makes this story hit different. Federal agents didn't just grab substances and stacks of cash. They took his digital footprint too. His social media turned into evidence. That designer Goya bag with $80,000 inside wasn't just found at the scene. Prosecutors lined it up perfectly with photos Casino had posted months earlier. Same bag, same flex, different day. His Instagram became Exhibit A in court, used to argue that his claimed income in 2025 didn't match reality at all. What people post for clout doesn't just disappear. In cases like this, it becomes a timeline, a money trail, and sometimes a confession without words. That evidence alone could have kept him behind bars for the long haul. So how did he end up walking free? That's where things get cloudy. On November 26th, a magistrate judge ordered his release on bond. The government pushed back hard, calling him a major flight risk with a possible life sentence hanging over him. Still, on December 2nd, the ruling stood. A $100,000 bond secured by his girlfriend's home, and just like that, Casino was back outside, leaving everyone trying to figure out how that door opened.
First thing I want to speak to is that in that press conference that we just listened to, you heard the gentleman that represented the federal government come out and say, number one, slick question by the person in the audience, the journalist who asked the question, how long have you been working on this investigation? And you know what he said? This is still an ongoing investigation.
Officially, the release comes with conditions, and sources close to Casino keep pushing one explanation. Strong legal representation, clean paperwork, nothing more. But the streets aren't buying that version at all. The moment he jumped on Instagram and dropped that quiet message hinting at Omertà, the code of silence, the talk, exploded. You don't bring that word up unless people are already asking dangerous questions. In Atlanta, when someone facing a possible life sentence walks free, those questions don't stay online. They travel fast and hit hard. And this case isn't just about Casino or his co-defendant. Federal prosecutors have made it clear this investigation runs deeper, possibly into transnational territory. That kind of language isn't used for small crews or random setups. Look at the details. Luxury branded packaging, stamped and styled like image mattered. That's not street-level hustle. That's organization, structure, and money behind the scenes. It suggests this operation reached far beyond one Airbnb in Forest Park. And if federal agents are still digging, that means more doors could get kicked in, more names could surface, and more people could feel the pressure. Then there's Future's silence, the biggest elephant in the room. This is an artist who built an empire by putting his life on wax, turning pain into profit, and letting fans see everything. But when it comes to his brother's federal case, there's nothing. No posts, no comments, no reactions. That silence isn't accidental. It's strategic. If Casino is cooperating, Future can't be seen choosing sides. And if Casino isn't talking, the family may be waiting to see who gets pulled in next. Either way, the stakes are sky high. Freebandz isn't just music. It's a brand, a lifestyle, a machine. And history shows brands don't survive federal heat unless someone pays the price.
That they allow things to go on so they can get their intel up. Everybody that I know that went to the feds, not the people that caught 3-4 cases and then they just batted you up and the feds picked you up. I'm talking about the people that I know that the federal government investigated and wanted to bring them to justice for quote unquote crimes. They always come when the mother load is there.
The hip-hop community is watching this situation closely because this isn't just about one person dealing with legal pressure. It's about how the entire game has shifted right in front of everyone's eyes. Federal investigators aren't only chasing substances anymore. They're watching screens. Social media posts, lyrics, music videos, and public images are now being pulled straight into courtrooms. That flashy Instagram post can turn into a federal exhibit. A rap verse talking about street life can be framed as a statement of involvement. Even staying quiet can get twisted into something more, and that's what has artists paying attention. Casino's case feels like a warning shot across the culture. The gray area people used to move in is disappearing fast. These days, the system wants things black and white. Either everything lines up clean or the spotlight gets pointed straight at you. Right now, Casino may be out on bond, but make no mistake, he's far from free. He's under strict house arrest, tracking every move, waiting on a trial that could still change his life forever. That freedom is temporary and fragile. Meanwhile, his co-defendant Diaz remains locked up facing the same serious charges without the option to go home. The message is loud even without anyone saying it directly. The rules have changed, the stakes are higher, and everyone connected to the culture is paying attention to what happens next.
It's been on y'all. It could be an informant in this situation, and the Fed's been on them. The Fed's been on Freebandz. From Young Scooter to all of them niggas. Paper Trail 550. They all got trafficking charges. Paper Trail getting locked up with the gas. Young Scooter got trafficking charges. Hey Blacker, he caught charges. Their whole crew didn't get money, been doing their thing.
Federal agents are quietly stacking their case, and if the evidence really is as tight as it looks, they're not losing any sleep over how this ends. Behind the scenes, prosecutors move slow and confident when they already feel ahead. Meanwhile, Future's entire empire is sitting on a fault line. One wrong comment, one badly timed post, and the whole thing could crack wide open. The streets are buzzing, the feds are listening, and stuck in the middle is a family trying to survive the blast radius. But let's be clear, this story doesn't stop with Casino. Authorities tied this raid to Operation Take Back America, a massive multi-agency push targeting networks that stretch across borders. That alone tells you this wasn't some random bust or bad luck situation. When officials say that, it means more names are already flagged, more targets are being watched, and more indictments are likely coming. And if Casino's release hints that someone is talking, the real question becomes who and what exactly is being said. In Atlanta, when federal agents start knocking, the story is never just about who got caught. It's always about who's next. Think about the details. FBI, DEA, and Homeland Security don't pull up together for small-time setups. They show up when a network has already been mapped. A 23-year-old co-defendant from Coachella, California, sitting in a Georgia Airbnb with 21 kilos of dangerous material stamped with luxury logos. That's not local hustle energy, that's a pipeline. The money tells the same story. Over $300,000 in the kitchen, $80,000 in a designer bag, and $4,000 in Casino's pocket when he tried to run. This wasn't a stash spot, it was a distribution hub. And that bond, $100,000 on a case carrying serious mandatory time. That's not luck, that's leverage.
Get like that? When have you ever seen that? We got all those different things in one spot. Never, bro. You might catch with the money trying to go get but it's an automatic play. But they telling us that it wasn't no automatic play. They was just being watched.
Either Casino's legal team pulled off something close to impossible, or someone gave federal agents a real reason to ease up. And when people say someone, they're not only pointing at Casino. The whispers started fast, and that word, Omertà, the code of silence, didn't come from fans making noise. It came straight from his own post, and that made everything louder. This is the same person who just walked out on a bond that doesn't match the weight of the charges. That doesn't line up in federal court. Silence alone doesn't earn release. Information does, so the question stays hanging. What did he know, and who could he be protecting? In a case with this much money, this much product, and this many moving parts, the feds never stop at the people on the bottom. They go hunting for the entire structure. If Casino's release signals anything, it might mean they're already getting pieces of what they want. That brings the focus straight back to Future, the artist known for turning every personal moment into music, every conflict, every struggle, every late night into platinum success. Yet now, there's nothing. No song, no post, no cryptic message. That silence isn't random. When your brother is facing life and investigators are circling financial trails that don't add up, staying quiet can be survival. So what's the move here? Waiting it out or avoiding saying something that can't be taken back? Because once the feds start tracing where that $380,000 came from, this stops being Casino's problem and becomes a Freebandz problem. And Freebandz isn't just a label, it's a brand, a lifestyle, a business. And businesses don't usually move with sealed packages and rubber-banded cash unless there's a side story nobody wants exposed.
But Casino got caught up in the house with 21 bricks of Fetty Wap, 300,000, and you had a Mexican guy in there who was from Southern California who got knocked out. You know what I'm saying? They all together. So at what point in time do you see the plug, the who buying the dope, the money, and the dope all in one house, right? That ain't no normal.
Let's really break down the math because these numbers aren't adding up no matter how you spin it. Casino claimed he was pulling in just $2,166 a month as a studio manager. In Atlanta, that barely covers basic rent, let alone a $4 million home, a lineup of luxury cars, and a lifestyle that screams serious money. Federal agents didn't miss that gap. They put it front and center. Prosecutors used it to argue that his story didn't make sense and that he had every reason to run. But the bigger question goes deeper than income on paper. If that salary wasn't real, then where was the money actually coming from? Freebandz is a legitimate business, and that matters. Legit operations don't stash hundreds of thousands of dollars inside an Airbnb with no contracts, no receipts, and no clear paper trail. That kind of cash usually moves through hands, not just one. So where's the rest of it? Who else was touching that money before it landed there? Once federal investigators start pulling that thread, it doesn't stop at one person. Money leaves a trail, and when the numbers are this big, that trail usually leads somewhere uncomfortable. And in cases like this, it can point higher up the ladder than people expect. Now, connect the dots. Casino wasn't just some artist hanging around studio sessions. He was Future's older brother, a Freebandz insider from the beginning. That proximity alone makes every financial question louder and every answer harder to ignore.
More effectively than any can alone. This brings a whole-of-government approach to protecting our communities. The Homeland Security Task Force will absorb key components of the Organized Crime Enforcement Task Force, which has now been retired, to include the Organized Crime Enforcement Task Force, the Strike Force's infrastructure, partnerships, and funding.
Casino wasn't some background figure collecting dust in a studio. He was on the Purple Rain tour, running through the entire Summer 16 run, popping up in videos, appearing on tracks, fully plugged into the machine. And let's be honest, machines like that don't run on $2 grand a month. That's why if federal investigators are digging into Casino's finances, they're not stopping with him alone. They're zooming out, checking the full operation, tracing flows, comparing lifestyles to numbers. And if they spot gaps, if the money moving through Freebandz doesn't line up with what's being reported, this stops being just a substances case fast. It turns into a financial case. That's when serious charges come into play. RICO-level pressure. Those cases don't just hit one person, they pull entire circles down at once. There's another layer too. Authorities didn't name this Operation Take Back America for hype. That's the kind of task force aimed at large-scale networks, cross-border movement, and possible cartel connections. Operations like that don't end with one Airbnb in Forest Park. So when people ask who else was involved, it's not just about Casino and his co-defendant. It opens questions about suppliers, distributors, and even insiders who may have known more than they admitted. And if Casino's release is tied to cooperation, if names are being exchanged behind closed doors, then the real tension is about who's next. Federal cases don't pause, don't forget, and they don't let people walk for free. Right now, Casino is out on bond, but don't get it twisted. He's under house arrest, waiting on a trial that could still change everything.
The dedicated men and women of Homeland Security investigations and our partners. The HSTF that we are here to talk about today is built on collaboration, on partnership, and bringing together federal, state, and local resources to dismantle public safety threats.
Future's still silent, the label's still quiet, and meanwhile, the streets won't stop talking. Federal agents are steadily building their case, and history shows when they move like this, they usually already have more than enough in hand. But the biggest question isn't just what happens to Casino, it's what happens to Freebandz if the numbers don't line up and the connections stretch further than one single raid. Because once money starts looking funny and timelines don't match lifestyles, this stops being a headline and starts looking like an unraveling. And in Atlanta, when federal investigators start pulling threads, the whole sweater tends to come apart fast. One loose end leads to another, and before you know it, everyone connected feels the tension. So now it's your turn. Do you believe the story that Casino's release was just elite lawyering and nothing more? Or does this feel like a deal was made behind closed doors? And what about Future staying quiet? Is that loyalty to family? Or is it self-preservation while the heat is still rising? Drop your theories in the comments and let everyone know where you stand, because this story is nowhere near finished. If you're just catching up, make sure you like the video, share it with someone who's following the case, and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss what comes next. Hit the bell too, because when the next development drops, you'll want to see it first.